Whew, that was a yawn. Hey, everybody, welcome to Boston Straight Shooters. Yeah, I'm Frank. We are back. I'm with Negative Ned. Steve, known as Negative Ned. Steve, it's been a minute. It's great to be back. It's great to be back.
Great to have
We
you back.
we got a show to do. Meanwhile, the Celtics are playing, so we're gonna get through this show. We're gonna do what we got to do. We got a lot of stuff to discuss. Steve, I'm gonna let you talk about the Bruins first. Get that out of the way, so we can talk about that. Now, I'm gonna give you the floor. Get your because at the end of the day, the Bruins. I haven't paid attention as much as I would have liked to. And the last thing about the Bruins, but I do see that the Bruins are up and then they're down, and they're up and then they're down, and they're up and then they're down, and so,
That is correct.
so yeah. So
That is
so
correct. They've had an up and down week. They won one, lost one, won one, lost one. They it's inconsistent play.
mhm.
It's frustrating a little bit. Uh, I'm not going to hammer them for last night's game because when you're playing the best player in the league,
Mhm.
it's a tough assignment. But the other games, so to circle back to the beginning, they played Winnipeg, a team that I didn't think that they would beat because Winnipeg last year was really good. And they beat them 6-3, which is a shock. But I also didn't realize going into that game that their number one goalie is out with knee injury, had knee surgery in November. So they catch a break there. The next game they play against Minnesota, they fall flat on their face. Uh, Another flat, lackluster. The effort didn't look like it was there. They weren't skating. Couldn't figure them out. And I had to look this up because remember last year, all those games where they were giving up 6 and 7 goals
Mhm.
in a game, and Swayman looked
Mhm.
awful. They've
Mhm.
had a few of those this year. They've had 6 games where they've given up at least 6 goals, and Swayman's been in net for 4 of those games out of the 6. So I don't know what's going on with him specifically. I think there's something there. I just can't put my finger on it because some games he looks wicked sharp, and other games when they play like that and they play lackluster and hang him out to dry, it just looks like they don't care when he's in the net. So I have a hard time with that.
Is it coaching? Is it coaching?
I don't think it's coaching. The players are the ones that are putting in the effort or not putting in the effort. They're not skating.
Mhm.
You can tell when a team is off when you look at them.
Right.
Uh, there's something going on there. And this happened last year too. So something to keep an eye on going forward because last year they had I don't know 14 or 15 games where they give up 6 7 goals. That's a lot in a season.
Mhm.
So I want to keep an eye on that. Then they beat Utah 4-1. They had lost to them in overtime when they went out there. They beat them pretty good. They played a good game up and down. Uh, you know, Morgan Geeky is number 2 in goal scoring this year. He's got 24 goals. He scored 2 more goals. He's been on fire. He's been a bright spot for them, and they get a much needed W. And then last night's game they lose 3-1. Now that game, Connor McDavid, he's like the LeBron James of the NHL, so to speak. And there was a play when they were on the power play, and he was on the side of the net, and nobody went after him. And I've watched the replay 1,000 times now, and I can't understand why nobody tried to pick him up before he passed it out in front, and they scored. And then later in the game, in the third period, the Bruins had a power play, and of course, he got sprung for a breakaway and scored to give them the 3-1 lead. And they've allowed a number of shorthanded goals already. I think it's 4 now. And I think they lead the league in that department. So, as good as their power play has been, which is fifth in the league, which is a far cry from last year when they were near the bottom, these shorthanded goals are a killer. They need to clean that up. So,
Mhm.
uh, I'll stop talking so you can ask any questions before I run us out of town here.
Oh no, no. I was listening to what you were saying because at the end of the day, the Bruins to me are still playing vastly better than what they were playing this time last year. You know what I mean? I still think they're improving. I don't know how they're able to be able to put together, but last time I was on the show, the time before that, we were talking about basically management, and we were talking about coaching, and we were talking about how the coaching was the coach was upset. And you remember the coach had a blow up. I think it was 2 times before he had a blow up and everything else. And you were adamant that the team was going to be horrible, and you were adamant that you weren't sure. I shouldn't say adamant. You weren't sure about which way the Bruins were going to go, which direction they were going to go. So I guess my thing is now is how are you feeling about where the Bruins are in December. Let's see, with today's date, December 19th, versus how you were September 19th, because a lot has happened in 60 days. You know what I mean? Since the season started, a lot has happened. So, how are you feeling?
Let me say this first: there will be no positive Pete still, but I am pleasantly surprised. They are playing much better than I thought they would.
So why can't
Uh,
Positive Pete come out if they're playing
no,
much better than you thought they would?
we're
Why
not
can't
ready
Positive?
for because positive Pete would put them in the playoffs now, and I know
Wow.
that question. I know that question's going to come, and I'm not ready to put them there yet. That's why. So
Oh, okay.
I would say from where we were in September, it's a 180 for them. What I thought they would be versus what they are.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting surprisingly more scoring than I thought they would get. I thought they would have a lot of 2-1 games, a lot of 3-1. They're winning some of these games 6-3. That's a shock for me. 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
They are. I want to say I don't know in the top 5 or 6 in goal scoring in the
Mm-hmm.
league, uh, and their power plays fifth. So all of that's a pleasant surprise. I think Marco Sturm's done a good job with these guys, considering uh, where I thought they would be based on who they picked up. I like that he has not sat still when guys need to sit. This is Frank. We talked about this with when Jim
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery was coach, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they need to sit some guys here and there. He's willing to do that. They've had a number of guys. He has sat them, uh, and he has also called them out on occasion and said, "Hey, this isn't good enough." Uh, I like what they've done so far.
So buyers and sellers by the trade deadline, before the trade deadline.
Ooh. If they continue on the pace that they're on and they have a legit shot to make the playoffs, they could be buyers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to see what you say, because in sports talk radio they're talking about buyers, 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 buyers. When they mention the Bruins, they don't really talk too much about the Bruins, but when they do talk about the Bruins, they're talking about buying, and they're talking about there could be some big names on the market right now that the Bruins could get, maybe one or two guys that could make them make a serious run at the title. Which, of course, I don't see how that makes sense, because I'm not too deep on hockey like that. But I will say I'm not sure if the Bruins, I'd be willing to have enough to buy. You know what I mean? Like if they have enough to buy. Does that make sense? Like, do
I
they have
know,
enough
I
to
know,
buy?
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Let me try to clarify that a little bit. So, remember 2 years ago when they were breaking all the records and they made all those trades, and the team was just on paper was an absolute wagon.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you would buy. They are not a wagon, and they're not close to being that. And also, because everything is so tight. I mean, literally, I looked at the standings, and between first place and fifth place, there's 3 points separating fifth place from first place. So every game, it's a game of leapfrog, especially with the condensed schedule, with these guys playing like every other day. They've played 4 games in 6 days. Next week, it'll be 6 games in 8 days, 10 days. That's because of the Olympics. I would say we're going to have to wait and see how they come out after the Olympics, what they look like. And if they have a legit shot, like if they're in second place and they're solidly going to hold a spot, I could see them maybe adding something that's missing. Like they're talking about scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't want them to do, and I know this is early, I don't want them to give up the draft picks that the assets they acquired last year when they had the sell off. I don't want them to piss those assets away. Excuse my French, but they need to hang on to those draft picks. And so it's yet to be seen, but I get where you're coming from. And there was a report by one of the NHL.com guys. That's where that stuff starts. And look, that again, that's a pleasant surprise. Most time here by Christmas and New Year's, I really thought the Bruins would be like 10th, 11th. Not really doing anything, and they'd be on the outside looking in. Then, if you had asked me that question, would they be buyers or sellers? If they're in that spot, they'd be sellers. But right now, no.
Well, the thing is that stands out is, like you said, the with the schedule and everything else, the concern that guys on the radio are talking about was injuries. When you got so many condensed games like that now, and people not getting a chance to rest and everything else, then injuries could become a concern. If Bruins are 2 injuries away, according to what I heard, 2 injuries away from having everything be a catastrophic season. You know what I mean? So if two players get injured, changes everything. Which that makes sense for almost just about everybody. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, you can say that about any team, but That's
But the
what I heard.
Bruins have had a lot of injuries this year already. McAvoy
Yeah,
missed a bunch of time with a broken
that's
jaw.
what I'm saying.
Arvidsson's back out again for the second time. Elias Lindholm missed some time. Pasternak missed a few games. Middlestat was out hurt, so it's had an effect, and every team's going through it, not just the
Yeah,
Bruins. So
yeah.
it's that's why I say we have to wait till the Olympics goes by and see what the teams look like coming out of that before the deadline.
So you want to talk more about the game last night before we move on? Because we got 3 more minutes before you move on.
Yeah. Listen, listen. Connor McDavid's a tall task to cover him and Draisaitl. That those two guys would be today's version of Gretzky and Mark Messier or Yari Curry from back in the day in the 80s. He's a supreme talent. And I remember back in the day, the Bruins used to have Steve Kasper shadow Gretzky. There is no shadowing this guy. He's too fast. The game is different. Nobody does that anymore. And you can't make mistakes. And so the Bruins made a few mistakes, and he made them pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's again, the Bruins are not built. I will look. I think the Bruins played overall a pretty damn good game. Other than those couple mistakes, they hung in there with them. It wasn't like they got the doors blown off 5-1 or something like that, which easily could have happened. They played Edmonton tight in both games. I think the Bruins won the first game 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So, actually, no, I'm sorry. That was last year. They have Edmonton in Edmonton on New Year's Eve. My fault. So they have another game against them coming up. But look, anytime you can play decent against them, it's the way that the team is built. It's a moral victory, which doesn't cut it, so to speak. But I'm okay with the way they played yesterday and them losing. It's not like I'm going to come on here and dump all over them. They played like crap. They did this. They did listen, it was a good game. It was entertaining for me, a lot up and down. And one of the things that should be noted too is their starting goalie left in the second period, second period, I think, with an injury. And the new guy came in. He stopped all 12 shots and gave the Bruins nothing. He was solid, and he stood on his head a little bit. So he kind of stole the game, so if you will, so to speak.
I can't believe I'm hearing you be praising the Bruins after a
listen,
loss.
Frank, we've been over this, right? We shoot straight. I'll hammer them when I need to hammer them, and I'll eat crow and give them credit when they deserve credit. That's the way it should be.
I'm just shocked. I'm not used to. I don't know what happened since I've been gone from the show. I don't know if you've been eating more spinach or whatever. I don't know. I'm shocked. I gotta say that. I'm shocked. All right, so you ready to move on?
We're ready. Go ahead.
All right. I think we should talk about it's between the Patriots and Celtics. Let's talk about the Patriots. I like the order you got it in. Let's talk about the Patriots. You go first. All
right. Let me give you the take. First, let me give you the keys to the game I had.
Yeah.
Was contain Josh Allen, which is everybody's, right. That's a no brainer.
Yeah. Which they did a great job on. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They did a pretty decent job in the first half, at least. And overall, not bad. Can't allow Cook to go off.
They did a good job with that too.
He didn't have long runs, but I would say death by 1,000 daggers or whatever that phrase is, right? 1,000 stabs. And they needed to be better in the red zone. Listen, the first half, they put up a ton of points. My takeaways, the Heckle and Jekyll first and second half, disappointing. The defense sucks. They have injuries back there, and they're not good enough yet. And overall, I would say the Patriots are just not quite ready for prime time. Those are the takeaways I had.
Okay, my takeaways is the defense let me down. They very much so miss Milton Williams, like dramatically. Like the minute he was gone, almost to the second, the minute everything changed. I think they still would have been. I think they still would have been in the game a little bit more if he had played. But also, we've got to. No one really mentioned the fact that their other linebacker was injured too. This kid
Spillane.
Robert
Spillane. Yeah, that hurt too.
Robert Spillane was injured and didn't play either. I think if those two guys play, I think the Patriots win that game. I think they hold them. I think the defense, and again, it's so I'm looking forward to the rematch. The Patriots have, because by that time Milton Williams will be playing, Spillane will be back. These guys will be doing everything else. So I think that that's the biggest thing on offense. I think their offense is clicking, but you can't tell me that the Patriots literally don't need another. They need two other players. They need another outside linebacker, and they need another wide receiver. They definitely need another wide receiver, because when the Bills started double teaming Stephon
Diggs.
Diggs, yeah, the Patriots offense was starting to sputter. The first half, they weren't double teaming him. That stood out to me. And I'm looking at the field, I'm playing, rewinding, and I'm looking, I'm rewinding, fast forward, rewind, and when I can see through the cameras and everything else, I'm like, they as Stephon Diggs was cutting across the middle, they had a spy right here every single time, so he couldn't do the cut. They had a spy. And then when he decided to go up this way, they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're double team him. And, that's what stood out to me. And the other big major thing that stood out to me is their tight ends didn't have big games the way they should have. You know what I mean? And I guess the last thing is I wasn't the biggest fan of the play calling on the offensive side of the ball. When they were running the ball, they were moving it efficiently in the first half. And for some reason, they decided to throw the ball more in the second half. And when they did that and they got drops, what happened? They allowed the Bills to come back in the game. So those are, I mean, you can nitpick a lot. Patriots should have won that game. They were winning by 21 points. They should have not have. But them leading the game and taking the kickoff, that allowed Buffalo to score at the end of the second half. And then when they got back, obviously they got the ball again coming out of the second half. So I don't know, Steve. I was upset, but I wasn't as upset because I was like, they still were competitive to a certain extent. And the injuries that they had, those guys will come back. So I didn't, normally, this time last year, I'd have been throwing stuff at my TV. I'd have been upset. I'd have been like, they suck, they suck, they suck. I mean, Drake May has won me over. This kid is absolutely playing. He's playing great ball. I don't blame that loss on him. I blame that loss literally on Hunter Henry for that huge drop and the defense. You know what I mean? Like, and Hunter Henry, I'm not even that mad at him with that either. But I really blame the defense because you can't play both sides of the ball. You know what I mean? You really can't. So Drake May is a lot better than he was when they were playing the Raiders. You know what I mean? He's a lot more confident. He's running. It just listen. I understand the MVP conversation now. A couple of weeks ago I was like, nah, I wasn't in it. I think that the Patriots now are playing much better team football, but coaching is the issue a little bit. Offensive side of the ball, a little bit of an issue, and defense. So I know I'm rambling here, but that's
okay.
That's
Get it
where I'm
out.
at.
Get it out. That's what we're here for. It's all good. I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, it's really hard to hammer them because listen, last year the angry emojis would have been blowing up my phone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But this
And you
year,
know that. And you know
and
that.
I think, well, I know, all right. But this year, look, they played them tough both games. They had them on the ropes. But you know what? Buffalo did a better job with the adjustments in the second half, and the
They sure
Patriots
did.
didn't counter those adjustments. And to give up five straight scoring drives, that's bad. And also too many 3-and-outs on our end, like you said. When they double teamed Diggs, the other guys weren't getting open, and guys like Hunter Henry who needed to make some big catches didn't come through, and they stopped running the ball. And as you know, when you get one dimensional, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Other than Henderson, breaking it when Buffalo went up, what was it, 28-24, and then he broke that long run and put them back up 31-28. I thought they were going to get it. You know what I mean? But then the defense went back out, and again, when you're out, you're out there as much as they were too, you're going to get tired, and it's just not conducive to winning. So, lesson learned. And as we've seen, Frank, in the rematch games, the division games, they're all tough, and there's no cakewalks. And even though that they were hammering them in the first half, it ain't over till it's over. I just would have liked to have seen some better play calling from Josh McDaniels in the second half. I mean, their last 7 plays, they gained a total of 3 yards at the end of the game. Horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
And they were playing so conservative in the second half, whereas before in the first half they were doing razzle dazzle plays. They were doing I mean, they were just doing everything they could, and they were going down the field. They were marching up and down the field, and they realized that Buffalo can't stop the run. And then in the second half, they stopped running the ball. They really stopped trying to hit. That's when I wanted to, hit you over the head with some of these emojis. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave Steve alone because they're not. Overall the whole game they didn't suck. It's just that Josh sometimes gets in his head. You know what I mean? He gets in his head and stops attacking because he starts looking at the score and say, okay, they're coming back, and I don't want to. I want to be more conservative because they're coming back. Instead of saying, listen, we're running the ball on these guys. These guys can't stop us when they're running the ball. They just can't. This play action passes stuff is working, and then he stops doing it.
I didn't understand that at all. I mean, they just have to collectively do a better job overall. I mean, if they'd have gotten hammered 35-14, we'd have been the angry emojis definitely would have been flying. But they are learning as they go still. That's why I say they're not quite ready for prime time yet. And this is a good test for them coming up against the Ravens.
Yeah, but I also understand why people on the radio are talking about is Josh only going to be one season? Because even though the Patriots organization is laughing when these guys are bringing it up, I can see why fans are hitting all in sports radio saying what the hell, because fans are disappointed. You know what I mean, with the play calling, and I know we both understand the play calling too. So I don't know.
It has also something to do with Mike Vrabel, his comments on sports radio, talking about how the double passes were cute, and you can only do so many of those. And every time somebody tries to ask him about Josh McDaniel, he deflects it to the rest of the coaching staff, and so everybody's got to put their 2 cents in and make up like, does he not like him and this and that, and so that's part of it. And I don't know if you heard this, but the radio guy in Tennessee today said that, pretty much that Vrabel's going to try and get rid of McDaniels and bring in one of his own guys at the end of the year. So there's all kinds of scuttlebutt that goes on. And around here, fellowship of the miserable. And so everybody's going to take stuff and run with it. I guess we'd have to wait and see how the whole season goes. I mean, if they drop the last 4 or 5 games like they did when they had Mac Jones that year, when they were 9-4 and they finished 10-7 and got trounced. If that happens and the offense sputters, then maybe, people could put some thought behind that. But I don't see that happening. I think that they have it too good. Drake May is way better than Mac Jones. And so I expect them to rebound against Baltimore and against the Jets and Miami. They should trounce those last 2 teams.
Let's look at this Baltimore game, because at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson is not having a great season at all, especially throwing the ball. So he's relying a lot on running. The Patriots are going to be ready for that. They're going to be ready for him to run the ball. They're going to let him throw the ball. Whenever he wants to throw the ball, they're going to let him. You want to throw the ball? You throw the ball to beat us. You're not going to run the ball to beat us. And if Baltimore plays into their hands with that, that's why I'm like, when I was listening to Jay say what he was saying today, I don't see how Baltimore beats the Patriots. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. Not to mention, the Patriots enjoy going and having away games. They play much better away than they do at home. I don't understand.
I know. I can't figure that out either. I don't understand that at all.
I don't get it, but they play much better. They love. Maybe they play better with the silent counts. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe they get motivated with all the people yelling at them, against them. Maybe they come to better. I don't know. But when they're home, they get too relaxed and they play worse. So, that's fine with me. And I said it on box seats a couple of times. The Patriots are better than we are paying attention to. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Patriots are better than that. So I'm not scared if they don't get if they don't get the first round, by. I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Actually, I kind of lean better than that. And I also said on box seats several times, I think you heard me say this, some teams in the AFC are pretenders when it comes to their record. You know what I mean? And I think Denver is really good, but I think that they are not as good as their record states. I think the Steelers are nowhere near as good as their record states. Because Bo Nix for Denver, I saw him play 4 times now. I'm shocked that they won as many games as they did. But then I look at their defense and I understand how they won. Their defense is winning games in Denver for them. Sooner or later, that's going to run out. You know what I mean? You're going, as the playoffs, you get near to the playoffs, and when you get in the playoffs, your offense has to carry you, because yes, defense won championships before, but it's not that type of league anymore. Now it's the type of league where defense can get you there, but offense wins games now because there's so many calls on defense that they weren't that. You know what I mean?
I
Roughing the
know exactly what
passer.
you're saying. When they play a real quarterback like Josh Allen,
Yeah,
let's see
or
how Bo Nix
anybody.
fares then.
Yeah, you play anybody who can sling it, you're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna be in trouble. So I mean, that's where we are. So
So
I guess the
Patriots
last
injury.
couple.
Let me run down the Patriots injury report real quick
Hold
because
on,
this is
hold
going
on,
to be
hold
a
on, hold
factor.
on, hold
Sorry,
hold on.
sorry.
Before you get the injury report, let me ask you what's your thoughts on the Baltimore Raven game? Like, where are you at? Do you think the Patriots going to win? You think the Patriots going to lose? Where are you at with that the Patriots Baltimore?
I I think they can hang with them like they did against Buffalo, but my fear is that the defense isn't going to be able to contain because Derrick Henry, he's a load and a half. If they give him the ball 20 or 25 times and he gets over 100 yards, because the Patriots don't have Milton Williams and others, I'm not going to say who they are yet. It's going to have the same problem as last week. And you won't have to worry about Lamar running on them as much as you will Derrick Henry. They have to find a way to stop the run. And like you said, force Lamar to throw to beat them. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real key. So I think they can win the game, but I'm worried that the defense won't be able to make enough plays to help them do it.
Okay, now get to the injury report because it makes sense because it leads into what we're talking about now with this conversation. Go ahead.
Right, and so Robert Spillane, who didn't play last week, even though he's on the sideline, has already been ruled out.
Right.
And they also have questionable Harold Landry, Christian Barmore, Carlton Davis, and Marcus Jones. Now, if they're missing any of those guys or all four of them, it's curtains because the guys coming in, half of the guys that are coming in, I don't even know who the hell they are. They just picked up some special teams dude from, I don't know, Jacksonville or wherever the hell he's from. I didn't even get his name. And he may end up starting for all we know. So I don't know. It's
yeah, but you have a 90% chance when guys are questionable, it's 90% chance that they play. So I'm not too concerned about that part. But
it all depends on how much they practice during the week. But
right.
listen, they need all hands on deck. And Christian Barmore got manhandled last week. That can't happen this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So now you made your pick, right? You said you said which way you're going to lean. You're thinking the Patriots going to take it in Baltimore.
My head says Patriots and my gut says Baltimore, so I don't know yet.
Okay. All right.
That's tough. It's a tough assignment. Listen, you know what? I'm going to pick them because when you see the predictions we have laid out later on, you'll see why I say Patriots are going to win. I have a surprise prediction. So
okay.
let me do that.
All right. All right. Let's talk about the Celtics now, because I'll give my prediction in a little bit later. I'm very upset at the Celtics. I'm very upset at the Celtics. I'm very.
I should have been
upset.
sending you the angry emojis last week watching them. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm very upset at the Celtics.
They were horrible.
All right, so they lost to Milwaukee, which is a game they should have won, and they lost. They were in the game with Detroit. They were in that game, and I mean in that game, and could have beat Detroit. And I got more upset because I had to wear a jersey.
That was hysterical what they did too. That was a riot.
I loved it. It was funny.
That was a riot. That was funny.
I think it's funny because at the end of the day, I won't hear nothing because I'm petty too. So I don't want to hear nothing when it's my turn because I'm going to me. I'm gonna and then when those guys get a chance to win, against me with this jersey stuff, they know I'm petty, so they're gonna try to let me have it. But they never match up to me. It's never equal.
Damian D. Jones just chimed in. Detroit basketball. He's watching. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
We just listen. I watched the Milwaukee. I watched both games. They should have beat Milwaukee without Giannis. No excuse for that. They had a lead at halftime.
Yeah.
And just their 3-point shooting. We've been hopping on this for 3 years now, but it's worse this year. Last year, the last 2 years, they were making a lot more shots. This year, they're missing horribly. There's no way.
I don't know what the problem is. Why they're and it's not just one or two. It's everyone. It seems like.
I have a question for you, right? Because I wrote this as part of my notes.
Okay.
Their ball movement this year is not as good, and is it possible that they miss Al Horford and Porzingis to help them with the spacing? Because the ball movement, the passes they're making are getting picked off. They're throwing it in the stands. They're throwing up air balls. I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Honestly, ball movement is some of it. I think a lot of it has to do with the rotation, the way they're substituting, and they're putting too much into Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown is a great player. He's a great player, but he's not a great ball handler. I think everybody knows that. He's not a great ball handler. That's one issue. My other issue is Peyton Pritchard should not be starting. Peyton Pritchard should be coming off the bench. I don't care what anybody says. He should be coming off the bench. And that oh my God.
Simons.
Simons, yeah, I've been telling you, Simons should be starting. Simons is when I say he is a scorer, this kid can score. This kid can shoot the ball. He should be starting and be playing more. They'd be in more games. Do you know he has been, since the Celtics picked him up, he's been playing half the time versus when he was with Portland? You know what I mean? He's playing. So I'm like, what the hell is Joe Mazzulla doing? He should be playing it. And then, Mazzulla is so happy with a lot of other contributions from the guys off the bench. And I get that. And like Jordan Walsh is playing really great basketball. But if it's me, Simons is starting, Jaylen Brown is starting, Derek White is starting. Those guys are starting. I would have Jordan Walsh come. I wouldn't have him starting right now. He's great when you put him in, but I wouldn't have him starting right now. Even though
who would you start over him?
Oh my God, probably Hugo Gonzalez.
Him or Minot? Which one?
Yeah, probably Hugo. And here's the reason why. Because you want him to come in, and he's getting so many fouls out the gate. You can't use him towards the end because he's starting, and when he's starting, he's fouling as soon as the game starts. He hasn't been able to balance his hacking. He's hacking.
Oh, you're talking about Walsh.
Well, I'm talking about Walsh. Yeah,
okay.
About Walsh. Plus, the energy Hugo's getting you so much energy, and you start him, and then you replace him with a Peyton Pritchard. It's the same kind of energy. These guys are the same. You know what I mean? Like they're like raccoons running around. They're just all over the place. So, but that's neither here nor there right now. My issue right now, my biggest issue with the Celtics is I am not liking the way Mazzulla is coaching this team. I'm not liking it. I think even though he's getting accolades because hey, they're doing so great, they're in some of these games and winning some of these games and everything else. Steve, they would have won more games if they had started. The guy told you they should start, and they had better substitution patterns. That's where I'm at. And my friend, me and Kareem, we talk about this all the time. We talk about it every other day. And matter of fact, my friend Kareem, he calls me or he texts me actually when we're watching the Celtics game together. And you want to see angry emojis? I should screenshot him and send him to you. This guy, Kareem he's just like me. You know what I mean? And we both were saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Actually, Kareem and my other friend Steve saying the same thing. I mean, we just go on and on and on. We all see the same thing. And we're like, why doesn't this guy see this? So that's my take. What do you see? Because
let me put this in from D Jones made this comment. He said Derek White, when he's hot, he's unstoppable, but when he's off, it's a wrap. And I agree with that. I've watched him, and I was going to ask you, is the pressure and having too much on his shoulders without Tatum getting to him, because he's throwing up air balls left and right. I mean, and again, when he's on in that Detroit game, he made some clutch baskets, but then he threw up an air ball, and I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with him. And you know what? And let me go back to the Milwaukee game for half a second. They went 14 for 49 from three, and the combination of Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser were all 5 for 29. That's 17%. That's brutal. Yeah. Me and you can do 17%, Frank, and I suck at basketball.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you shoot so many threes, you expect a game like that. That they were due to get a game like that because they had been hot for 2 or 3 games before that. So that comes with the territory. So I wasn't mad about the Milwaukee game. I wasn't that mad about because everybody was cold. What I got mad about was the Detroit game and the substitution patterns, because I think Derek White might be injured. I think he is forcing it. I think they missed Jason Tatum a lot, as you could expect. But Derek White is definitely trying to take on a lot of the mantle of saying, hey, I'm trying to score here. And maybe somebody's in his ear and say, hey, now this is your chance. It could be you and Jaylen Brown. Maybe that's what he's doing. But at the end of the day, I keep saying they need to put Simons in to score. You have another scorer on the team. He's the best shooter on the team. They got him purposely and paid that money because he is a prolific scorer. He is, if D Jones is watching, he is Vinny Jones part two.
Vinny Johnson, the
Vinny Johnson.
microwave part two. Yes.
He is literally the microwave. I call him the microwave. Every time I see him, I'm like, this guy's the microwave. This guy comes in, hits a couple, and the next thing you know, they put him back on the bench, and I'm throwing my hands up like, here we go again.
Well, let me piggyback a little bit. There is one thing that's aggravating the hell out of me, as much as the threes, and that's Jaylen Brown missing the free throws. He was 7 for 14 the other night. Missed 2 free throws. They had the game 104 to 102, and then they got 2 free throws, and he went to the line and missed 2 free throws. I'm like, you can't do that late in the game, guy. You know, you got to make those free throws. And I've watched him. If I feel like the second half, like the third and fourth quarter, he misses more free throws and he shouldn't miss them. He can't. He's got to make those. And I'm not trying to pick pile on him.
He would never be considered like the Mamba or anything like that because he's missing free throws. If Kobe got fouled and these other guys who are prolific scorers and everything else, and they got fouled towards the end of the game, you didn't want to put them on the free throw line because you knew that was guaranteed money. They know now, the word is out, foul Jaylen Brown because he can miss both free throws.
It's like the Shaq thing. I know. I get it.
Yeah.
And again, without Tatum, listen, I think Jaylen Brown's done a great job considering. I don't like the free throw misses, but the guys in the MVP conversation, you guys on box seats were talking about who's in the MVP conversation. He wasn't really mentioned, but he is getting mentioned across the league. He's averaging almost 30 points a game, 8 rebounds and 6 assists or something like that. So he's trying to carry the load. He's done a decent job. But like you said, he doesn't handle the ball well. I wrote this too because I've said this before. There's too much chuck and duck, and they're trying to Michael Jordan it by everybody and do everything themselves, and they got to stop that. That they have to do better at moving the ball around and not trying to, Bobby Orr it by everybody. People don't know who Bobby Orr is, whatever. But Michael Jordan, like, you're not a one-man show. You have to take your time and use everybody else. You just can't. Try and drive and throw it up and get nothing. And they had a lot of those in those 2 games where the guys were trying too hard. The old Bill Belichick, do your job. Well, they were trying to do too much, and it hurts them when they do that. And when they don't move the ball around good, you can see it, and it's very frustrating. And D. Jones, piggybacked your Simon's comments. I liked him in Portland. He's good. But his replacement in Portland is amazing. Jaylen Brown is dope. He needs a big to be in a pick and roll. His mid-range is great, but y'all coach live and die with the 3. Spot on, and things we've talked about before. And that's another thing that's part of to your point, about Missoula. He lives and dies with the 3, but they really should have. We talked about this. They should have the point guards getting Jaylen Brown the ball in open spots in the mid-range and take the 2 and stop kicking it back out for these guys to keep missing these threes.
Hold on. When the Celtics, every game the Celtics won, every single one, I've watched every game. And this is the first game I'm missing all season, and they're in the third quarter, so I'm getting ready to wrap this up. Every game the Celtics have won, when they had their mid-range game working, and every game that they won, the mid-range game has been prolific. They didn't take as many threes, and they were settling for 2s, not 3s. They won all those games, all of them. When they start shooting more 3s, and everybody's not hot like that and everything else, they lost all those games, all of them. And matter of fact, the crazy part about it is, in some of those games that they even were losing, that they lost, when they were playing mid-range games, they had got huge leads. And then they started settling and shooting more 3s, and they allowed teams to come back because they were up by 20, or they might have been up by 15. And the games that they lost, that's the crazy part. There's only 2 games that they lost. Of the 2 games they lost, they were losing the whole time. Like, they got blown out by Houston, and I think the first time Detroit played them or something. I think that was Detroit. But and they were shooting 3s, trying to stay in it, and Houston blew the doors off of them because they kept trying to shoot with Houston. And now early in the season, and they were missing all the 3s. So, but when they're playing mid-range, that's why I love the small ball that they've been doing. When they're playing mid-range and small ball, they're in every game and have won every one of those games, even the games they were supposed to lose. So there's that. I'm very happy about that. But I'm looking at the time. Let's get this Red Sox conversation going because I want to just talk about that for a few minutes, and then I want to talk about some of these things that you got up there.
I think he erased it. He had some comment in here about Derek White hitting 7 threes in the first Detroit game, but I think he deleted the comment. That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
But I agree. I agree with everything you just said, by the way, because I watched those games when they went like 8-2 or whatever and got themselves back in second place and third place in the conference or whatever. And I agree with you. They were shooting less threes. They were shooting like 38 on average. Now it's back
yeah.
up to almost 50 again. So everything you said is true. And so I just want to
Yeah,
let you
yeah.
know
When they
that
play small ball,
probably
they play a lot better, and they shoot them, and they don't try to shoot a lot of threes. That's why I don't understand it. With all those, they got what, like got 50 coaches on the bench. I don't know why everybody can't figure that out. I'm on my couch here in Boston, and I can figure that out. Like Jesus, like you guys can't figure that out. All right. Anyway, I want you to talk to me about the Red Sox. We definitely want to get this Red Sox conversation in because the Red Sox, first of all, I saw some news. I see what you wrote up here, but they're about to lose. They're about to lose Bregman. Bregman has got an offer. They're going to lose Bregman. You know, they shouldn't have let him walk. They shouldn't let him get to the free. They shouldn't let him go to hit free agency. They should have said, okay, we know what we got with him. Even though he said, hey, you know what, guys, I want to hit. You know, I want to test the free agent market. They should not have let him because they're not going to get him back. And the Red Sox look like they literally want to do this Oakland A's. You know, this Oakland A's situation where they're going to say we're not going to pay. We're going to pay. I don't understand who thought process that is. Steve, help me come off the ledge because I'm upset with the way that they're doing right now. And I think the man ownership. Look, if you're not going to treat the Red Sox the way you should, Steve, tell somebody up there to just sell the team to ownership, some owners who will spend the money. You know what I mean?
well,
I think,
you missed the rant a week or two ago when I basically told John Henry. Remember last year when they signed him and he had that picture of him
yeah,
smoking the cigar?
yeah.
I basically said that he should take that cigar, turn it sideways, and stick a straight up his candy ass because that's about what I think about them right now. I'm on the ledge with you right now, and I'm not going to have I'm not going to have a what's not negative Ned rant here, but I am pissed off at them. They're going to finish in last place. Mark my words. They're going to get less than 81 wins. They're going to finish under 500 with the team they're building. I wanted to ask you something because I know you saw that they signed Sonny Gray. How do you feel about him being the number 2 starter after trading for him and St. Louis eating half of his salary?
For business wise, I like the move. I got to say that because you know when anybody eats half of your salary, I like the move. But I looked at his statistics, and he's going to be just as bad, if not worse, because they haven't showed up the defense. When you get a guy like that, you've got to have the infield defense taken care of because there's going to be a lot of ground balls going to go to the infield. A lot of balls going to go to the shortstop. That's just how the game plays. That's how he pitches. You know, he's going to hit balls to the third base, hit balls to the shortstop. And if you don't have shortstop, Trevor Story's not coming back, or you don't have a shortstop in
No,
there.
Trevor Story's coming back.
I said because I don't know what it looks like with his injury. I mean, I don't know what is
Oh,
it. If is his injury on pace for him to come back? Is he on
he
pace?
played almost the whole year last year. He's fine right now. It's just a matter of whether he gets hurt or not again.
Yeah, but you
He
know,
had a good year last year. Look, Trevor Story wasn't a problem last year until later in the year he started making some errors. But overall, he had a good year. The second, Frank, you know what aggravates the hell out of me? Second freaking base. They don't have a legit second baseman. So to your point about the defense, I'm sick of seeing David Hamilton. Okay, guy can't field a routine ground ball, and then they get these other flotsam and jetsam guys, and so my thought is when they signed Sonny Gray, I was like, okay, he can be the number 3 guy, so you can push Brian Bayo back to number 4, and then get a legit number 2 guy, because then you'd have a solid 4 guys in your rotation. Right now, what they just did, they put him number 2, they put Bayo number 3, and now you're still going to have these other guys. They got this guy Johan Oviedo from the Pirates. He's probably going to be number 4. A young guy that had Tommy John 2 years ago, came back in August last year and pitched like 10 games. And now they traded for these other guys. They made a trade last week for this guy. Give me a second. Jake Bennett from Washington. He's a reliever. Double A guy, 25 years old. Why is he still in Double A? Okay. Actually, he's a starter. He made 18 starts. He went 2-5. His ERA was good, but he's in Double A. What is that? And they traded an infielder for a relief pitcher from the A's. He was 4-3, 4.26 ERA, 50 innings, 9 saves. I mean, they're getting these marginal moves. They let go of Cooper Criswell, who was kind of like a Swiss Army knife, could give you a spot start, could long relief in the pen. They have Cutter Crawford coming back. They have Tanner Houck coming back, hopefully. But I think what they're looking at is a situation where they're going to be rolling out the whole opener thing in the 5 slot again, because these guys are going to get hurt and they're not going to have depth. And that pisses me the hell off. And the money part of it, let me say this too. I'm sorry I'm rambling, but John Henry's the one that's not spending the money. Okay. I understand not wanting to give Alex Bregman 6 years and $30 million a year, $180 million. He broke down last year again, missed 2 months. You can't pay a guy $30 million a year and have him miss 2 months every year for the next 6 years. He's 31 years old. I'm fine with that, but then you got to go get Pete Alonso, and that's the guy I wanted at first base. And they lowball offered him worse than what they did to John.
They made the offer just to help, just so the fan base can know that they made an offer. They knew they weren't going to get him.
That lowball offer doesn't cut it anymore. They got to stop this nonsense. 3 years, $85 million. Go crap in a hat, dude. I hate that. And look, I understand. There's a contract thing coming up at the end of the year. They're going to have a lockout. The owners want a salary cap, and John Henry doesn't want to pay the luxury tax because the lower teams at the bottom are just pocketing the money. They do need a salary cap. They need to fix this because you have, as you know, the Dodgers and Yankees spend a boatload, and then the bottom teams spend $50 million. It's wrong. They should have it like football. Okay.
They're ruining their league. They're ruining their league.
They're ruining it because look at the parity in football, right?
Yeah.
And the parity in the NBA, and even in hockey. You have no parity in that league, and the lesser teams never have a chance because the Dodgers signed 80 guys at $400 million. The Mets do it. They need like flat. Okay, $200 million salary cap for everybody, or take the average of all the salaries everybody paid, $175 million. Okay, here's the cap. Okay. And you have tiers just like basketball does, or something like NFL or hockey, where it's like, okay, if you go over this, or actually in hockey, you're not allowed to go over it. Maybe you could do something like basketball and have like an apron and a second apron. Okay. And make it so that the bottom feeder teams, they have to spend $100-something million on a payroll, not $50 million and $60 million to be a joke, and whittle down. They draft good players, Tampa Bay. Then they're forced to trade him at the deadline because they can't sign him. Like, it's bad for the league, and it's bad. So I get that part of it, but you're the Red Sox, and you have the ability to sign a Pete Alonso for 5 years and $155 million. That's only $31 million a year.
Okay.
You just paid Devers.
Can I get
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
In 10 years, Major League Baseball is going to be, if they don't change anything, they're going to be at the doorstep of probably folding in 10 years at the pace they're on right now, because you look at inflation, obviously, ticket sales across the league, everything else. So I think that if they push this narrative to everybody else in the Players Association, they can probably get what you're hoping for, which is a salary cap. If they don't, they're doomed. That's all I wanted to say. If they don't, they're doomed. The league overall is doomed. And if the owners walk in there and they stick together and they tell the players, this is where we're at, because right now you guys are making all these money. Okay, that's fine. But this is where we're at. If we don't fix it, it'll only be four teams, maybe 6, that will have everybody, and we have how many teams in the league right now in Major League Baseball?
30.
32? Okay, well,
it's 30. Whatever 30. It is. Yeah, okay, 30.
Yeah, well, okay. So you're going to have 22 teams to 24 teams that will probably not be here at the pace we're on. So you guys want to go back to where we were in 1908 and only be 4 or 5 teams and 6 teams playing against each other, or we got to get so that's all I want to say. That's where we're at. It's very doom and gloom right now, and the players, I think they can see that, but they might not care either. So
they're not going to want to give up money. So I agree that they kind of have to get something back, though, right? So maybe instead of waiting until they're 30 to get free agency, maybe they get it at 27. Give them a little bit back. But I agree with you. The Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins, whatever the hell they're called, Colorado Rockies, Pittsburgh Pirates, the Washington Nationals, they move from Montreal. So how many more times are these teams either going to move or fold? That's what you're talking about. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at. The sad part is some guys are just so greedy they don't see it like that. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Let's move on because I want to get past some of this other stuff too. Because we could talk about that for hours. And I want to. And right now, since the Celtics are losing, I want to see this game.
Yes. All right. Let's
I want
move
to see
on to
why the
the.
Celtics are losing because the Celtics should not be losing to the Miami Heat right now. They shouldn't be doing it. But of course, they're losing to the Miami Heat.
I agree with you. All right. So let's do poll questions. We only had one. I need to do a better job here. Who would you say is most responsible for the Patriots loss to Buffalo on Sunday? Offense 0%, defense 80%, coaching 20%, special teams 0. Now I forgot to mention earlier, and I just want to put this out there. Special teams was part of the reason the Patriots lost because they gave up those big runs on the returns, kickoff returns.
Yeah.
That's why I put them in part of this question. Okay, predictions. Now, since you weren't here last week, I had predictions, and I only had 3.
Okay, what'd you predict?
I said the Patriots defense would sack Josh Allen 3 times. Wrong. They only got him twice in the first half. I had hope when they sacked him twice in the first half. I was like, oh, I'm going to get this right. Nope, no chance. Back to Washington General territory. I said the Patriots would hold Cooks under 100 yards. Wrong. He got 107.
Not without Milton Williams. That's definitely wrong.
And I said the Bruins would lose 2 of 3. I got that half wrong because they won 2 out of the 3 and they lost yesterday, so they split. They actually split 2 and 2. So that's those. This week's predictions. Let me find what I put here. Where did you go? Nope, not that one. Okay, here we go. This is why I changed my pick for the Patriots this week to win. Drake May gets his first 300-yard game. That's my prediction for them to help win the game. Now, I made this before the game started. I said the Celtics will win tonight and then split the next 2 games they play against Toronto and Indiana. I have a funny feeling it's going to be egg on my face shortly. And I said the Bruins will lose 2 of 3 next week. So those are my predictions.
Well, the Celtics are definitely going to beat Toronto and Indiana. It's the game tonight. See, they're supposed to win tonight the next 3 games. Toronto's playing much better, but Indiana's the worst team in the league. They should beat them.
They should beat India, yeah.
You just don't know what Celtics team is going to show up. You know what I mean? You just don't know. So I don't know. I don't even want to make I'm going to do some predictions, but I don't really want to. But anyway, keep going.
No, that's it. That's all I got. I just stopped there.
Oh, okay.
I get enough wrong.
Okay, so predictions. I got the Patriots over. Baltimore. Yeah. And I got Drake May rushing for a lot of yards. I don't know. Should I say? I don't even want to say how many yards, but Drake May's going to have an awesome rushing yard game. I think he's going to do that because they're going to get him to rush more and everything else. I don't think he's going to throw over 300 yards. I don't think he's going to put me down for that. I don't see Drake May throwing. I don't see that happening. I see the Celtics beating Miami tonight, beating Toronto, and then beating Indiana. Put me down for that. They got three of that. I see the Red Sox making a splash because I've been hearing a lot of stuff and reading the boards and everything else. I think, but this time next week, they're going to make a splash at the winter meetings. And I think Bruins are going to play better than 500 in the next week. I don't know how many games they play. So you don't have to write down now, Steve, but you could put me on for that.
All right, I'll fill the rest of them in later.
Yeah. So I think that's where I think the Patriots are going to surprise us, though. I think the Patriots are going to play Baltimore pretty good. I think because the Patriots, when they lose, their bounce back is phenomenal. The way they have a focus as a team, and the 2 losses that they had, their following games focus was phenomenal. So I was like, that's a Patriots team I'm proud of. The way they focus and the team and the way they're coached, the way especially after. Do you remember the loss after the Raiders loss? That you remember the game after that. But then, do you remember the game after the Steelers loss? The way that they focused, that they were after that Steelers loss. I was like, wow, we have a team here. You know what I mean? And if I'm not mistaken, I think the game right after that was they played Buffalo and they beat Buffalo. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yep. That really put them on track. Those 2 games right there.
Yeah. So, and somebody said, one of my friends said, I don't remember what, it might have been Kevin. He said, that probably was a good loss because it's right before the playoffs. And now that loss will probably get them focused for a run right through the playoffs. So
it's impossible to expect them to win 15 in a row going into the playoffs. And then what? You have nothing left in the tank. This is so not to cross sports, but this is my argument for the Bruins. They would kill themselves to get in the playoffs and get
Right.
first place, and then have nothing left in the tank. So, uh, I would say it's a good loss because it's a learning tool. I was upset a little bit before, but one of our group members, Dave Bent, a friend of mine, pointed that out and said, "Hey, this is good for them. They'll learn from it." And he was right. You said the same thing. So,
Yeah.
uh, look, utilize it, learn the lessons, and again, they're rebuilding. So Negative Ned has to eat crow because Frank said they were going to get double-digit wins, and I said no. And so,
And how many wins did I say they were going to get? How many
you
wins did I
said
say?
11 or 12 at the beginning of the year,
Thank you
and that
very
was
much.
actually before the beginning. That was in like June or July, and up even through when they went like 4 and whatever. And you were asking me if they were going to get double digits. I said nope, 9 wins. I still had them there, and again, pleasantly surprised. They're doing a real good job. And
I tried to tell you.
People are complaining about the schedule, and what they're doing, Frank. Last year, how many games did we say, oh, they could have won that game, or they could have won that game? They had 4 or 5 games they could have won. They're winning those games this year. That's the difference.
That's one difference. And also, the games that they lost last year, they beat themselves because of the penalties. You remember they were averaging
Yeah.
6 penalties. And I told you that was huge, but nobody was talking about it. That was huge.
We
When
were
you have
talking about it. We were hammering them every week.
Yeah, us. We were talking about it. Everybody else wasn't. We were saying when you have 6 penalties and you're averaging 100 yards for a game that you're giving a team extra team, you're going to lose those games. You're just going to. And when you cut that down, they're now averaging 1 to 2 penalties a game. They cut that down so much. They allow themselves to be in the games. So next year, everybody's saying, "Oh, well, they're going to come back down to earth." No, they're going to still win games too because they have the same amount of penalties. They're going to be more disciplined, and they're going to have maybe 2 or 3 better players. I can't wait. The next season is going to be phenomenal because they're going to get a wide receiver. They're going to get another defensive end, and the Patriots are going to even be better next year. So, they're progressing in the right direction. Oh, look at the time, Steve. I'm out of here.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for your support. Thanks for voting on the polls. Thanks for the commentary. D. Jones, thanks for joining. Catch us on our YouTube channel as well, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Frank. Have a good one.